Good morning, children. And now we move on to your very important section. All the sections are important, but this is one particular section where the child has minimum practice or no practice at all, because he feels that reading comprehension is an unseen passage, so why must he practice? He'll be able to do it during the examination. That is what his thought process is, and that is how he has been managing in all these years. Now, what I just wish to tell you is that reading is very, very essential for so many other things. Let's talk about the comprehension only first. Now, reading, when you read, your speed improves, your comprehension improves, you are able to comprehend, you are able to receive. So, when you don't practice unseen passages and you go sit in the examination, and when you read the passage, the entire passage is Greek to you, and it's only in the second answer you are fumbling for the answers, and here and there you are able to locate and whatever other sources you opt to for solving your unseen passages. So, the right thing is to practice beforehand. You must practice at least 2 to 3 passages at least in a week. Not saying every day, but yes, in a week you must practice complete reading section or the entire 2 passages. Second thing you must remember is, when you practice, there shouldn't be any disturbance. You yourself shouldn't be disturbed, so that you can read, you can comprehend and find out the answers. Third thing, have your watch before you. Write down on your register. Suppose you were sitting at about 7 o'clock in the evening and you feel, all right, now for another 40 minutes I'm going to solve the 2 passages. Write down the time, 7, or if it's 7:05 or it's 7:10, just put on start 7:10, and then you start solving the passages. Don't stop yourself if you've not been able to find a particular answers. No problem, leave it. Move to the next question. Move to the next one. Again you are stuck up. No problem, leave. Solve all the passage, the remaining questions. And then wherever you finished, suppose you took about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, no problem. You got to be honest to yourself. Just write down 7:30. And then you start by correcting yourself. Be your own teacher. Do self-analysis. Give marks to yourself. Put a tick, put a tick. Wherever you've gone wrong, just put a cross. And wherever you could not find the answers, now see the answers. And now look back into the passage. See where that answer was. Now that you found the answer, oh my God, this was here, I couldn't find it. And then whatever your score is, you're getting 8, you're getting 6, be honest. You just circle it and be true to yourself. Because unless you're honest to yourself, you will not be able to bring about a change in your examination, in your passage, in your paper, when you will be attempting your paper. Honesty to yourself as it is must. You need to be honest to yourself in everything in life. Now, talking about reading comprehension of unseen passages, we'll read out the reading section includes unseen passages to be comprehended by the students. Comprehension implies a thorough understanding of a given passage. It's a thorough understanding of a given passage consisting of more than one paragraph. It is meant to test the intelligence of the students and their way of expressing their thoughts independently about the passage in a short, simple and precise manner. Types of passages asked in board examination in order to test the students' reading skills. There are going to be 2 types of passages included in your syllabus. The first type of unseen passage that you will be having is discursive passages, 400 to 450 words. The passages which involve the opinion of a person through reasoning are called discursive passages. This discursive passages is followed by objective type questions. These are there. The questions have been defined, designed to check your inference, your evaluation, your vocabulary of the students. Then the next passage. Next is your case-based factual passages. See, the word limits are very clearly specified. The first passage is a lengthy passage of 400 to 450 words. Second passage is a shorter passage, 300 to 350 words. The case-based factual passages are the passages which focus completely on details or facts. These kinds of passages include visual inputs, statistical data, charts. Now, how to score maximum marks in your reading section? Before you answer the questions, you must read the passage carefully and thoroughly. Read all the options. You must ensure that the option number and answer match with each other. Now, ways to solve the comprehension. Read the passage thoroughly. Next, the relevant details should be focused on. Read the questions carefully. Go through all the options. If required, read the passage again, so that if there is any confusion in two options, you can always look back to ensure that you get the answer right. Now, we take up a passage together. So, you will read it along with me and you will stay focused, no disturbance, and we will find out the answers together, right? Okay. Birds have been building nests for over 100 million years. Dinosaurs, the ancestors of birds, also built terrestrial nests over hundreds of millions of years. The diversity we see in birds' nests today is a result of these thousands of bird species evolving in different environments, creating diverse ways to house and protect their families. We think of architecture as a result of conscious design, purpose, and aesthetic expression. There is precisely such architecture in avian nests. These are not unplanned constructions. These are shaped by a history of selection and functionality. Also, the diversity of materials used by birds to build nests is astonishing, and birds arrive at this independently. As adults, the birds go out into nature alone and gather materials to construct their nests, which have very specific structures. They have extraordinary building capacities, which show both flexibility and an innate way of interacting with the environment. Interestingly, all nests perform a physical job to house and protect a bird's eggs from bad weather and predators. The nest is also often the location of the development of the young. Therefore, knowing the nest's centrality, birds have developed habitat-based strategies to meet these needs. Diverse species use sticks, twigs, webs or mud handled in specific ways to create the nest they require. Like human builders, birds choose materials related to the actual structure they want. Birds' nests also have regular styles of construction, historically conditioned by circumstances. Like human communities which use bricks or stones, birds have a similar historical investment in their nests. For instance, a group of land birds which includes kingfishers, hornbills and woodpeckers is about 60 million years old. All of these nest in holes, from ground burrows to holes in trees, where they can safely keep their eggs. None of them has created an alternative way. Nests are therefore conservative structures. Birds don't change the designs much unless they are sure they are improving on the conditions required for breeding and protecting their young ones. Now, weaver birds are an extraordinary example of a group that makes impressive nests. These include an egg chamber suspended from a branch with a doorway. The complexity is amazing. The fibers are interlaced like weaves. This creates very strong water repellent structures. The weaver birds starts with a vertical ring like a hoop and adds a back hemisphere to this. It then weaves on the front to create a small door. Some species add a tubular passages to the back chamber. This can be up to 5 times the length of the nest. Now again, from one end to the other end, we've just come to know that we are talking about the birds, we are talking about the nest, how they have been building up nests and what purpose these nests solve. It's a rough idea we have about the passage now. Now what we're going to do is, we'll go through the questions. We'll go through the questions and we'll try and recollect where this particular point had occurred. And then we'll go back there and find out the answer. And then another thing which you need to remember is, our answers are to be based from the passage. You may be very fond of reading those books and all. You have a lot of information about birds, their nests, and maybe encyclopedias you've been reading. I hope you know what an encyclopedia is, and I'm sure you must have gone through it. So when you go to the library in your school, you must ask the librarian, ma'am or sir, that ma'am, I'd like to see the encyclopedias. Go through them. See those beautiful pictures and that paper material is so good, so fine, You must go through them. Anyway, talking about the passage here now. Our purpose is to find out the answer from the passage and stick to that, not go beyond that. On the basis of your reading of the passage, answer any 10 of the following questions. Different birds build their nests in different ways because. What could be the reason? Do you think the birds think of a variety? It's only humans do that. Dinosaurs taught them? Could the dinosaurs teach anybody? Their families wanted variety? No. It was of environment differences. If you can recall, it was mentioned over there. Somewhere in the beginning it was there. If you are not able to recollect, go back to the passage, go back to that initial 1 or 2 paragraphs and you will read and you will be easily able to locate that it was due to environmental differences. See, somewhere you may find the exact line as it is from the passage, making it easier for you to identify the answer. At other places, the language may vary, but the meaning remains the same. So what is needed for that? A thorough understanding. How will that thorough understanding come? When you will be focused. When you have practiced sufficient passages earlier before your exams, that will help you. Next one. Birds also have aesthetic sense. They show it through what? You've seen the nest of the birds. They're so beautiful. They're so very architecturally designed. So what could it be? What has the other 3 options got to do with it? Their multicolored plumes, how they protect their families, the precision of their nests, the architecture of their nests. See, they're asking about the aesthetic sense. So it's the architecture, the architecturally designed nest. Talk about their aesthetic sense. You got to have a reasonable hold over your vocabulary. That again will come when you at least pick up 2 to 3 new words every day. Remember them and use them. Use them deliberately. Use them deliberately because you've learnt a new word, so you want to use it. And how to use it now, because it's not being used. So I'll talk to my best friend and I'll share that word with her. I'll try and make sentences with that word with her, and she would respond, and gradually, now we too should have a similar interest to improve vocabulary. So she'll also improve and even I'll improve. She'll pick up 2 new words from me, I'll pick up 2 new words from her. So we'll both improve our vocabulary. Now, when the birds think of building their nest, the most important factor in their mind is what? What is the main purpose? When you build a nest, the purpose is what? The beauty. Humans do that. You know that? The design. Again, humans are concerned, my house should be beautiful, it should be so very well designed that people should come and appreciate me. No? Alright, we're talking about the birds. So, the main reason is purpose. The nest must solve the purpose. Save it from predators, keep it safe, you know. Then, which of the following jobs is not performed by a bird's nest? Now, be very careful when you read the question. Is it asking you about which is being performed, which is not? They're saying not. So, don't just very casually and carelessly read the question. Read the question carefully. They're asking you not. Which is not performed. To house and protect its eggs? No, this is the purpose. To protect its eggs from bad weather? Yes, this is what they want. To protect its eggs from predators? Yes, this is what they want. What they're asking, which they do not want. To help the birds to grow up fast. To help the birds to grow up fast. The materials all birds use for building their nests are, all these are used, sticks they use twigs also, they use webs also or mud also. And then the D, oh good, the D one is any of the above according to their specific needs. So the D solves the purpose because it is covering all 3 in our D option. So we go for D option. A woodpecker lays its egg. It lays its egg in a nest made of mud, in a hole, in a tree. It is in a hole in a tree. You see the woodpecker, how it keeps pecking and it makes a hole, makes a nest over there. The dinosaurs built their nests on. Obviously, they'll not do it on the trees, on the marshes, on the seashore. It has to be on the land. The word flexibility in para 3 does not mean flexible, something which is flexible, easily twist and turn. So, adjustability, elasticity is flexibility. Fluidity, again fluid, flexible enough. Stability is not part of flexibility. And what are they asking us? They are asking us that does not mean. So, it is stability. The word innate in para 3 means the same as what? Innate is something which you have it. It's innate talent. Something which you already have it. It's a natural, acquired. No? This word innate, it's inbuilt, it's natural. Which of the following birds make the most impressive nests? They all have the nest, but you've seen the weaver, they weave it, and just weaving a nest with their with their beaks is simply amazing. Simply just a God's work of art. So it is weaver birds. Nests are therefore conservative structures, means conservative, traditionally designed. Nests are modern in design. We talk about conservative, it cannot be modern. Nests have to be carefully constructed. Nests are traditional in design. Nests are flashy and gaudy. No, they are asking you conservative structures. Conservative structures are traditional, old. So nests are traditional in design. The word house in para 1 has been used here as they've used it to house the birds, So it has been used as a verb. Now you have to attempt 10 out of 12. Now we won't waste time and we'll move on to our next passage. We are over the one because we have the second passage, we have the writing section, we have the literature section, and then we need at least last 10 minutes for a quick revision as to how you've attempted your paper, or if somewhere you've skipped out something, you need to go through and look for it again. I'm reading out the second passage and you will do it along with me. Even as the number of recorded COVID deaths crossed 1 million on Monday, medical professionals called for balance in the treatment of COVID and non-COVID cases, pointing to the fact that every year cardiovascular diseases kill more than 17 million, cancers over 9.5 million, and chronic respiratory diseases almost 4 million. According to the medical journal Lancet's report, Global Burden of Diseases, there are at least 15 different diseases that kill more than 1 million people every year. We look for this for our answer. We'll come to this when we look for our answers. While the swine flu pandemic in 2009 is estimated to have killed about 500,000 in 1 year, the 1918 Spanish flu is estimated to have killed about 50 million. However, COVID-19 stretched the capacity of health systems as no other pandemic in recent history, as an extraordinary number of patients required hospitalized care and came in at an unexpected pace. A good section of these needed prolonged critical care. With the virus being highly infectious, large numbers are affected in a short time. Just 5 to 6% of total cases becoming critically ill has meant a huge burden on the health system. As health systems geared up for COVID, most other health services were suspended. See, from here we start with the fourth paragraph. Referring to a survey across several countries that showed regular health services were hit in most countries due to COVID, the WHO, World Health Organization, Director General said that many who needed treatment for diseases like cancer, heart ailments and diabetes were not getting the required attention. A professor at AIIMS, Delhi said, we have about 3 to 4 patients of stroke or heart attack who are brought dead to the hospital every day. The only difference is that COVID deaths are being counted and these are not. A modeling study published in the Lancet Global Health suggested that worldwide 1 in 5 people were at an increased risk of severe COVID-19 should they become infected, mostly as a result of underlying non-communicable diseases. Unfortunately, hospital systems are designed for average patient loads, not epidemics, stated a paper on hospital capacity and operations during COVID-19 published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It added that most hospitals prided themselves on minimizing emptying beds, but this could result in their being ill-equipped for an increase in cases. The pandemic brought into focus the slackness in a system, underutilized capacities and capabilities, both physical and human, which could be put to use in a crisis. With health systems operating at more than maximum capacity, a Lancet editorial warned that healthcare workers, unlike ventilators or wards, cannot be urgently manufactured or run at 100% occupancy for long periods. We move on to the questions. Again, a grasp of the passage was about COVID-19, was about the condition of the hospital and the diseases which have been equally dangerous, but they have not been taken into consideration or they have not come to the limelight. On the basis of your reading of the passage, answer any 10 of the following questions. What concern was shown by medical professionals? They are talking about the concern. What concern? What was the matter of concern, So remember to get the question right. They are asking what worried them, The number of COVID cases was rising. Not enough attention was being paid to non-COVID cases. There was a balance between COVID and non-COVID cases. See, the matter of concern was that even the non-COVID cases were equally on the rise. They have been on the rise, but they had not been brought into light. So this was a matter of concern. They are talking about the concern. Although even the remaining things have been mentioned, but because we are talking about the concern, so we take up this. Now the next one we have is the next one. Which of the following statements is not true? They are asking you about not true. Now if you go back to that chart, if you go back to that diagram which is given to you in the passage, from there you will pick up the answer. There it is mentioned. It's clearly mentioned about that. Cardiovascular diseases kill more people than any other disease. It's mentioned, it's there. Diabetes is not more dangerous. Many different diseases kill more than 1 million people. Now here it is wrong. They are asking you statement which is not true. You don't have to read the passage. Go to that chart and from there you will be easily able to locate this answer. Non-COVID patients got neglected as what could be the reason? There were not enough doctors for them. There was a sudden rush of COVID patients. There were no specialist hospitals for COVID. COVID is a viral disease. See, if we look at these points, somewhere all of them seem to be correct. They all seem to be correct, and somewhere they are also correct. Now here we have to pick up one right correct option. So what that correct option is that there was a sudden rush of COVID patients. It's only when there's a complete rush that you neglect them. Let's move on to the next one. Why does the researcher quote the examples of swine flu and Spanish flu? No? They were deadlier than COVID-19. Doctors then had enough experience in treating them. Vaccines had been prepared for them. COVID-19 required hospitalized care on a massive scale. What could actually be the reason? No? Now, if we look at here, no? Now, they were deadlier than COVID-19. No? They were deadlier than COVID-19, and COVID-19 required hospitalized care on a massive scale. Which one will we go in for? We will go for the D option. Study the following statements. A good section of COVID patients required critical care only for a short duration. Those who fell critically ill became a burden on the health system. So, was it for a short duration? No. A COVID patient took a lot of time. No. So, what do we go in for? This is right. Those who fell critically ill became a burden on the health system. Yes, that's true. This is not true. So, we go for B. A is wrong and B is right. The Director General of WHO said that all of COVID deaths were not counted. Few countries were involved in the COVID survey. Doctors did not have enough time for non-COVID patients. Treatment of cancer and diabetes patients could be postponed. No? Now, what actually had happened with these people was that the Director General of WHO said that all of COVID deaths were not counted. No? Now, here when you have all these options correct, no? There you will have to may have to give it a second thought, and what actually we will go back to the passage and see what actually the situation was. And if we can recall the passage, we will go through the passage, we will go to that particular area where WHO had mentioned it. Now, there when you will go read that paragraph again, you will come down to the most appropriate answer, and the most appropriate answer was that because of those COVID patients, the doctors did not have enough time for these non-COVID patients. COVID deaths are being counted and these are not. The para 5, the word these stand for what? We are talking about those, see, it has to be strictly according to para 5. Don't look for anywhere else. Go through para 5. In para 5, when you will read it, in that para 5, it's very clearly mentioned deaths caused by heart attacks. We are not talking about general. General could be this, but we are talking about para 5. In para 5, it is deaths caused by heart attack. An important point made in para B is that all people were more vulnerable to COVID-19. Patients also suffering from other diseases were at a greater risk. 1 out of every 5 COVID patients died. Non-communicable diseases are as deadly as COVID-19. We again not very clear, still a little doubtful. What was the right answer? It slipped out of the mind. What do? We go back to para 5. And when we go back to para 5, what do we find? In para 5, we find that non-communicable diseases are as deadly as COVID-19. The expression minimizing empty beds means, minimizing doesn't mean that minimize the size, reduce the size. No. What they want to say is that most of the beds are occupied. See, it doesn't mean minimizing few patients, most of the patients have recovered. That is, it is a very same small hospital. Reading these options, you will start wondering which one is it, because they are all talking about minimization. Now, here minimizing empty beds is that most of the beds were occupied. Para 7. Now, what slackness in our medical system was revealed during the pandemic? Slackness, the loose point. Earlier, our hospitals had not been put to full use. Our doctors were not efficient enough. More facilities were required. COVID crisis could not be faced. What slackness in our revealed? What was revealed? Earlier, our hospitals had not been put to full use. For COVID-19 treatment, what was found to be most important? See, obviously, everything is important. Hospital bills are important, medicines are important, ventilators are important. But we are going back to the passage, and towards the end, it's very clearly mentioned that only thing which you cannot manufacture is those healthcare workers. Healthcare workers are the most important because they are the healthcare workers who happen to put these things into practice. It is they who will help you to solve these problems. As health systems geared up for COVID, para 4, the phrase geared up, you gear up for your exams and you gear up for some sports activity or for your inter-house matches, So, what actually geared up? Geared up is you get ready for something. So, now you gear up for your exams and you gear up and you start practicing your English at least 1 hour every day. Now that we've practiced these two unseen passages and we've done them together, now the third one, maybe you could take about a break of 10-15 minutes and go have a cup of tea and then return back and then you solve it on your own. Now, when you solve it on your own, you'll, then you match your answers and you see where you've gone wrong and what more you could have done. I'm reading out 2 paragraphs with you and then you'll read it on your own. You'll keep that watch before you, no disturbance, no mobiles, nothing around you, no notification, just turn it off and keep it outside. As it is, make minimum use of it and just stay focused, no distraction. Now, this here for your practice, both water and energy are integral parts of the human body. By weight, about 60% of an adult's human body is water, and dehydration is one of the biggest single killers of children in the modern world. Life without water is unthinkable. The human body needs its daily intake of food to meet its energy requirements, which according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United States is about 1800 cal per day. Life without energy is equally unthinkable. The energy that we take in through food again depends, amongst other things, on the water for agriculture, and often the water is pumped with electrical or other forms of energy. The interdependence of energy and water is evident. So, similarly, you will have this next and the next. Now, what actually I would like to share with you is that when you are going through the passage of this water, you may have studied this same thing in your social science or in your science. Don't start relating it. Don't start bringing that into your this passage. That has got nothing to do with it. We are just talking about this comprehending passage. we're just talking about this particular passage carrying 400 to 450 words, where you will just read this and find out the answer from this and not bring any other additional information from outside. See, then you have these questions. Right in the beginning it was mentioned 60%. Anyway, I will not share the answers with you, and I am sure you will do them yourself, and when you have finished you will see there are 12 questions. You are supposed to do 10, attempt all 12. Your max marks, the passages from your max marks, find out the answers, look up for the answers, and just be honest to yourself, give marks to yourself, and stick to the information in the passage. Time management is very, very essential. Make sure you do it within the time. Doesn't matter as to how much time you are taking. Again, it's being honest with your own self. Fine. God bless you. Take care.